The Eagles just got some huge news just days ahead of their matchup with the Giants, as not only did we get some big injury updates on a few star players, including one on Landon Dickerson that is both bad but also maybe good, but we also got word of a behind closed doors meeting between some of the Birds' biggest stars that could change everything. Also, it seems Nakobe Dean could be returning this week, while Kelee Ringo might permanently have the starting job. And what needs to change with the Eagles' run game? Well, let's talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. So as much as it sucks that the Eagles are coming off a loss in a game that they very clearly should have won, the good thing is the short turnaround for the Thursday night game means that they have a chance to make things right and get back on track very soon, as the Thursday night football matchup with the Giants at MetLife is coming up very, very quickly, and obviously there's a strong possibility that the Birds bounce back with a win, considering that, although they have shown some promise, the Giants just aren't very good, sitting at 1-4, and they're currently 7.5-point home underdogs to the Eagles. So yeah, safe to say the Eagles are in a very good position to bounce back, although to be fair, this is a division game, and we know just how tough those can be no matter how good each team is. So the Eagles are going to have to be ready, because as much as the Giants aren't very good, it's not necessarily going to be an easy game. And specifically offensively, they're going to need to find a way to be consistent. I mean, over the past 3 weeks, we've seen flashes of greatness from this offense, particularly in the passing game. I mean, we've seen them move the ball up and down the field, we've seen some creativity, we've seen big plays, we've seen them score touchdowns, but we just haven't seen them remain consistent because, for whatever reason, it seems like Kevin Patullo and the coaches get extremely conservative at times, and I think there's no doubt that KP has gotten better to his credit as the season has gone on, but still, there are plenty of problems with the play calling, whether it's route concepts, predictability, or just, other issues, so that all needs to get fixed. And other times, as we saw in this past game, the Eagles just shoot themselves in the foot with penalties, botched execution, or just not being on the same page. So all that 100% needs to get fixed if they're going to get to where they want to go. And one under-the-radar storyline that came out of the Eagles' loss to the Broncos is the lack of communication between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, as of course, one of the biggest plays and missed opportunities from that game was the missed deep ball from Hurts to Brown that would have been a touchdown if A.J. just hadn't slowed down during his route. And again, this touchdown would have likely sealed a win for the Eagles, so it was no doubt a huge miss, and that's why it was a little surprising to hear A.J. say after the game that he and Jalen didn't even discuss what had happened after. So, that then prompted a report from Jimmy Kempski after the game where he noted that play and also said that it's clear Hurts and Brown don't have the same personal relationship that they once had, and you can see from the press box during games that they just aren't communicating on the sideline, which is a huge problem. So, I'm not going to comment on their personal relationship because, obviously I don't have any inside information on that, and I don't really want to speculate on it, although there have been multiple things coming out over the past couple years suggesting that, but, still, we don't really know. But no doubt, if they're just not communicating on the field and on the sideline during games, that's an issue, and it no doubt has to change. But luckily for Eagles fans, we got good news on that front on Monday, as it was reported by none other than the same reporter, that being Jimmy Kempski, that Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Saquon Barkley apparently had a long, keyword, positive conversation that day that lasted for multiple hours. And Jalen Hurts actually talked about this meeting in his press conference on Tuesday.
Man, it's just us talking about the collective, talking about taking ownership for what we can, and talking about how we move forward as a team so we continue to find ways to win games.
Why the need for a meeting, do you think?
It's really just teammates being teammates.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really say too much there about the meeting. Definitely seems like the purpose of it was to just try and get things back on track, probably offensively. And it's definitely good to hear that the stars of the offense are communicating and trying to make things right, especially Jalen and AJ after that report that came out. And, who knows? Maybe this meeting has a smaller but similar effect to what the bye week had for this team last year. But as opposed to last year, the biggest issue offensively this season has been the run game. And for starters, the play calling has definitely been a big issue. I mean, Kevin Patullo, for whatever reason, loves running straight up the middle into stacked boxes. I mean, looking at this Saquon Barkley run chart from Sunday, the one successful run that he had was to the outside. So I feel like the Eagles definitely need to take more advantage of that. But that said, I think clearly the biggest culprit is the subpar play of the offensive line. And former Eagles linebacker Seth Joyner actually recently did a pretty good job of breaking that down.
And out of pistol, which I like. But the offensive line is not firing out. You got 3 guys in here against the entire offensive line and they get no movement. And then the tight end gets blown up on the end. He gets pushed up the field, and the defensive end falls inside, okay? They're just not moving the line of scrimmage. You got to move. Look at that. That player is dead. You got a double team. That guy should be back here. There's no reason why that guy should be on this side of the line of scrimmage, which is the blue line, when you got a double team. You got to move that guy, and he's got to stalemate that guy, get inside of him and turn him out and make him go outside so Saquon has somewhere to run. Okay, the running game's not working because the offensive line is not playing up to the level that it's played at the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's health, if it's the coaching, if it's the execution. I'd say it probably is a combination of all three of those things. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't fully clicked along the offensive line the way it did last year, and it just has to get better in every aspect moving forward if they want to improve the run game. And unfortunately, when Kevin Patullo was asked about the run game on Tuesday, he didn't really give us too much insight.
I think it's a little bit of both, right? We go into a game with a pretty good menu for what we want to do, and a lot of times it's off of what the defense is giving us. We kind of have an idea of what we think we're going to start with, and depending on how the game flows, we can get to different things. I think this game presented something different. We called a lot of RPOs, which we hadn't really done, so I think it was like 6 of them that ended up being thrown, which was different. So, obviously that adds to the pass stats. But so I think each game, presents something different a little bit. And, you can sneak runs here and there. And we've been really successful in certain areas throwing the ball recently. If you look through the games, comes kind of situational stuff, which has been different this year, which is good. It's added some diversity to our offense. So, I think each game is kind of dependent on certain things.
Now, I will say, I think one big reason for the run game struggles is the subpar play of Landon Dickerson, as he's clearly been banged up all year long with that knee injury that he suffered back in August, and obviously he exited this last game with an ankle injury, which definitely doesn't make things any easier for him. And now, as of Tuesday, it's actually been reported by Jeff McLean that Landon is likely not going to be ready for the Giants game on Tuesday, and in fact, he very well could miss the next 2 games. And honestly, as much as you don't want to see anybody miss time with an injury, this might actually be a blessing in disguise for Landon. I mean, obviously the ankle injury complicates things, but maybe this time off is what Landon needs to get his knee right and just get back to playing at a high level. And the report says that he could miss the next 1 to 2 games, but I say, why not sit him for the next 3 games going into the bye week, and then he can make his return healthier than ever after that. I mean, that's what I would do if I were the Eagles coaching and medical staff, but we also know that Landon's going to try and come back as soon as possible, because that's just the kind of guy that he is. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but hopefully this time off is exactly what he needs to get healthy. Moving on, though, and staying with the injuries and also the run game, we do have some good news there, as it continues to sound like Saquon Barkley will play on Thursday night after being listed as out of practice for the start of the week. And in fact, he actually did participate in practice today. So, definitely good news that he's going to more than likely be out there this week, especially against the Giants defense that hasn't been very good at stopping the run through the first 5 weeks of the season. So I'd say even with the Landon injury, this is the perfect game for the run game to finally get back on track a little bit. And for Saquon Barkley, this is a big chance for him to have his best game of the season so far against his former team. So again, we'll continue to monitor his injury and see what happens, but definitely good news so far on that front. And continuing on with the injury news, unfortunately, it does not seem like tight end Grant Calcaterra is going to be able to play in this game on Thursday night. So, obviously he's not a huge piece of the offense, but he is a solid backup receiving tight end who can make plays when given opportunity. So not having him out there definitely doesn't help, but the Eagles also should be able to overcome it. They'll be okay. And hopefully Calcaterra is able to heal up and be ready for next week. But someone that could possibly be ready to go for Thursday night could be linebacker Nakobe Dean, as after a long rehab from a knee injury that he suffered back in the playoffs last year, he has been practicing for this last week and a half, and now, finally, it seems like he's ready to make his return to action this week, although it doesn't seem like he's going to have a very big role.
There's a chance he could be active this week, not positive yet.
And what type of role do you anticipate for him?
Oh, it would just be, because he hadn't had any game, no training camp. It wouldn't be a full-time role yet.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise there that Nakobe is not going to have a starting role, especially since Jihaad Campbell has been nothing short of amazing to start the season. I mean, he's currently the 7th highest graded linebacker in the league and the 3rd highest graded in coverage, which is just insane for a rookie. So shout out to him. And also, Nakobe's just getting back from injury, like a serious injury, and he hasn't been practicing up until last week. So it just wouldn't make really any sense for him to come back and immediately have a big role, but we'll see how it evolves as the season goes on, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him doing a lot more in a few weeks' time. Moving on though, it also does seem like Kelee Ringo will likely keep his starting role after taking that job from Adoree Jackson this past week, based on these comments from Vic Fangio on Tuesday.
That was a combination that he had played good enough the previous week. Adoree, was just coming off his injury. So it was a combination of both.
You sticking with him?
Possibly.
Yeah, so definitely not confirmed, but I personally feel like in their respective opportunities, Kelee Ringo played better than Adoree Jackson, and I think it's beneficial to keep playing the younger player. So, I'm hoping Ringo starts, and again, it definitely seems like that is what's going to happen. Moving on though, the Eagles announced that they're going to be wearing their white jersey and black pants combo on Thursday night, so that's definitely cool because I love that combo. Hopefully it gives the Eagles some extra luck. And also, breaking news dropped on Tuesday that C.J. Gardner-Johnson has signed with the Ravens practice squad, so no surprise to me, but there will be no C.J. Gardner-Johnson reunion in Philadelphia this time. And all that said, if you guys don't want to miss any more Eagles coverage coming throughout the rest of this week or just coming throughout the rest of the regular season, then make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And also, leave a like down below. That would be greatly appreciated, guys. It takes 2 seconds. It's completely free, and it helps me out so much. So let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video. And also, hit the hype button because that helps me out as well. And leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video going over their loss to the Broncos, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.